Each new day, many individuals awaken only to surrender. They rise and within moments find themselves captive to external noise, others' demands, and notifications that snatch away their dwindling peace. They begin their day in reaction rather than intention, and thus control over their hours slips through their grasp like fine sand. They live at the mercy of circumstances, of decisions made by others, caught in a loop of frustration and lack of purpose that leaves them exhausted by day's end, pondering where the time went and what they truly accomplished. Yet, you, who have journeyed to this point, sense a possible resistance, a way to avoid being swept away by the current, and instead to command the flow of your own existence. Ancient masters, like Marcus Aurelius amid military campaigns or Epictetus from a life of austerity, uncovered timeless insights for cultivating an unassailable mind and a life lived with deliberate purpose. These weren't abstract theories for academic debates, but practical tools for survival and excellence, forged in the crucible of real life. They understood that true power lies not in controlling the world, but in achieving absolute mastery over oneself. In this discussion, we will unearth 10 of these Stoic principles, concrete methods you can implement from the moment you get out of bed to completely reshape your morning and, by extension, your entire life. Prepare to challenge weakness and build an unwavering inner stronghold. If you feel your mornings dictate your actions rather than the other way around, if you're weary of drifting through the start of your day and wish to seize control of your destiny from the very first minute, then you need to absorb every one of these tenets. Remain engaged until the conclusion to ensure you receive the complete guidance, as each point is a crucial pillar for constructing that formidable mindset. And if you commit to embracing this challenge and living with genuine inner strength, demonstrate your resolve by liking this video and subscribing to the channel to avoid missing further insights that will continue to shape your path toward self-mastery. Determine what you control and what you don't. Each dawn before engaging with the world, pause briefly and pose a vital question. What is genuinely within my control today? This simple contemplation can differentiate between a day of ceaseless frustration and one marked by complete command over your mental state. The Stoics recognized that the primary source of human suffering originates from attempting to govern elements beyond our influence. The weather, traffic, economic conditions, external opinions, and even the actions of those around us are all examples. If your well-being hinges on external factors, you condemn yourself to a life of perpetual anxiety and dissatisfaction. Conversely, what you can control are your disposition, your choices, and how you react to circumstances. Imagine encountering an unexpected setback. You can respond with anger and despair, or with tranquility and determination. That choice will always be yours. Marcus Aurelius eloquently stated, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you adopt this viewpoint, you reclaim your power, cease to be a victim of circumstances, and begin to act with calmness and resolve. Practice this every morning. Over time, you'll notice yourself becoming more resilient, more focused, and less swayed by external distractions. You will command the only thing that truly matters, your own mind. Cultivate a daily purpose. If you neglect to define your intention at the start of the day, the external world will dictate it for you. Distractions, outside demands, and others' urgencies will drain your energy before you realize it, and by nightfall you'll wonder, what did I truly achieve today? The Stoics understood that life isn't about filling the day with meaningless tasks, but about living with purpose. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great philosopher-emperors, began his mornings by contemplating what truly held value. He didn't allow his time to dissipate into trivialities. He guided his life with clear intention. Defining a daily purpose doesn't mean an endless to-do list, but establishing a clear direction. It involves asking yourself, what is the primary thing that would make this day worthwhile? It could be a commitment to your work, personal growth, character, or relationships with others. The issue is that many navigate their days aimlessly, like vessels adrift, carried by the winds of circumstance. They respond to messages, fulfill obligations, but make no progress toward anything profound. The result is frustration, dissatisfaction, and the feeling that life is passing without a clear objective. But when you commence your day with a defined purpose, you assume control of your destiny. Every action, every choice becomes a conscious step towards something greater. You no longer get lost in the superficial, because you possess an internal compass that directs your decisions. Stoicism teaches us that time is our most valuable asset and that each day is an unparalleled opportunity. Don't allow another day to pass without intention. Awaken with clarity, with a set purpose, and become the master of your day instead of its passive observer. Begin with gratitude. In life, we frequently fixate on what we lack. We yearn for more achievements, more wealth, more recognition, more comforts. However, this incessant desire for what we don't possess can plunge us into a state of perpetual dissatisfaction. The Stoics, conversely, taught that the key to a fulfilling life lies not in the endless pursuit of more, but in learning to deeply value what we already possess. Gratitude is a potent antidote to dissatisfaction and envy. When we appreciate what we have, we gain distance and observe life from a broader perspective. Everything we possess today, be it our health, our family, our freedom, or even our opportunities, are things we once fervently desired at some point in our lives. Instead of focusing on what we haven't yet attained, we can acknowledge that many of our past aspirations have already materialized. Seneca clearly stated, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This teaching emphasizes that poverty is not solely a material issue, but a state of mind. True abundance is found in the recognition and appreciation of what we already possess. If we take a moment each day to recall and give thanks for what we have, we transform our outlook on life. The Stoics didn't deny challenges or difficulties. Instead, they chose to see them as opportunities for learning and growth. Gratitude, then, is not an evasion of reality, but a tool to keep us anchored in the present instead of losing ourselves in what we lack. It helps us live with a more serene mind and a more complete heart. Starting the day with gratitude not only alters our mindset, but also draws us closer to a life of greater peace and contentment. When we are thankful for what we have, we discover true inner wealth. Keep a Stoic journal. The act of writing is an incredibly valuable tool for reflection and self-understanding. The Stoics understood that the mind, like the body, requires training and discipline. Journaling isn't merely recording thoughts, but a practice that fosters mental clarity and introspection. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, is one of the most notable examples of how this habit can lead to inner peace and personal growth. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote daily, not with the intention of others reading it, but as a means to organize his thoughts and keep his mind focused on what was essential. It wasn't a simple recounting of events, but an instrument of deep reflection on his virtues, challenges, and purpose. For him, the journal was a space where reason and meditation could prevail over the disorder and emotions of daily life. The process of writing allows for distance from impulsive emotions and thoughts. It provides the necessary space to organize our ideas, identify what affects us, and clarify our intentions. It is an act of self-control. Instead of reacting impulsively to events, we step back and observe them with perspective. By writing about the day ahead, we not only organize our intentions, but also mentally prepare for challenges that may arise. It's an opportunity to reaffirm our values, to remember that we control our reactions, and to guide our actions with wisdom. Keeping a Stoic journal is an exercise in mindfulness, an act of alignment between our mind and our actions. If Marcus Aurelius, one of the most influential men of his era, dedicated time each day to written reflection, we, with our own struggles and decisions, can also find a space for personal growth and clarity in a Stoic journal. Avoid complaining. During the first hour of the day, the initial moments upon waking profoundly influence how we experience the rest of the day. If we begin with negative thoughts, criticisms, or complaints, our mind tunes into a frequency of dissatisfaction, which can drag us through the entire day. However, the Stoics understood that controlling our minds at the start of the day is fundamental to maintaining a life of peace and virtue. The first thought that arises upon waking defines the rest of the day, they asserted. When you complain or approach life with a negative attitude from the outset, you condition yourself to view everything as a problem. You focus on what isn't working, what you dislike, what bothers you. This attitude not only consumes emotional energy, but also traps you in a victim mentality. Instead of concentrating on what you can control or change, you surrender to the chaos of frustration. The Stoics, conversely, embraced a mindset of resilience and acceptance. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, began his day by reminding himself that every difficulty is an opportunity to exercise virtue. Instead of dwelling on discomforts or problems, he chose to use his energy to face whatever came with calmness and wisdom. By avoiding complaints in the first hour of the day, we train our minds to focus on solutions instead of problems. We learn to live with greater serenity, to accept what we cannot alter, and to act on what is within our power. Each day is an opportunity to begin anew, and by doing so with a positive disposition from the start, we align ourselves with inner peace. The first thought of the morning can dictate your day. If you awaken with gratitude and focus on the positive, your mind will prepare to face the day with clarity and determination, instead of getting caught in complaint and dissatisfaction. Resist immediate reactions. Impulsiveness is a silent adversary that can harm our relationships, decisions, and ultimately, our peace of mind. In a world where everything seems to happen instantly, messages, emails, opinions, the tendency is to react without thinking, to be swept away by emotions, and to act without considering the consequences. Nonetheless, the Stoics taught a crucial lesson. True strength lies in the ability to respond calmly, not to react precipitously. Epictetus, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, stated, "We cannot control the events that happen to us, but we can control our response to them." This teaching invites us to recognize that emotions, though powerful, do not have to dictate our actions. When something bothers us, we shouldn't act immediately. Instead, we should pause for a moment, breathe, and observe what we are feeling. Self-control doesn't mean suppressing emotions, but acknowledging them and choosing how to act from reason and perspective, not from impulse and reactivity. When we allow our emotions to guide our responses, we risk saying or doing things we will later regret. Anger, fear, frustration, or anxiety, if unmanaged, can cloud our judgment and distort reality. By practicing the pause, we create space for reflection. That small fraction of a second between stimulus and response is where our freedom lies. Instead of reacting with anger to criticism, we can analyze it objectively. Instead of succumbing to panic in the face of difficulty, we can find solutions with serenity. The Stoics knew that our ability to choose how to respond to adversity defines our inner peace. It is not what happens to us that defines us, but how we choose to respond. By taking a moment to reflect, we transform every challenge into an opportunity to act with wisdom and control. Diminish your need for approval. We inhabit a society that constantly prompts us to seek external validation. Social media rewards us with likes. People judge us based on our choices, and our self-esteem is influenced by others' opinions. However, the Stoics taught a fundamental truth. True inner peace stems from not relying on others' approval. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, warned against the trap of external validation. Do not seek the admiration of others. The praise of men is always uncertain, always superficial. This teaching reminds us that no matter how much we seek others' approval, it will always be unstable and subjective. What is valued today may be criticized tomorrow, and what you consider valuable may not be so for others. When we live seeking external validation, we become hostages to others' expectations. We deviate from our principles. We adapt our personality and decisions to conform to what others expect of us. This deprives us of our authenticity and our freedom. The Stoics taught us that true freedom lies in doing what is right according to our own principles, regardless of what others think. It is essential to understand that we have no control over what others think or say. The only thing we truly control is our own conduct and our values. If we act according to what we believe is right, without allowing external opinions to sway us, we can walk confidently in our own direction. Others' approval is fleeting, but when we are aligned with our own principles, we find lasting satisfaction. Living to please everyone is an unbearable burden. Living with integrity and being true to oneself is authentic liberation. Embrace voluntary discomfort. Contemporary humans have been conditioned to avoid discomfort at all costs. We seek hot water, abundant food, the comfort of the sofa, and the security of routine. But what we forget is that excessive comfort weakens the mind and spirit. The Stoics understood that life is full of unexpected adversities, and only those who train their inner resilience can face them with strength. That's why they practiced voluntary discomfort, deliberately exposing themselves to minor difficulties to strengthen the mind. Seneca said, "Practice austerity from time to time, wear simple clothes, eat frugally, and ask yourself, was this what I feared so much?" Not because he disdained wealth, but because he wanted to be immune to dependence on luxury and comfort. Voluntary discomfort is not unnecessary suffering, but a tool for growth. When you choose to expose yourself to the cold without a coat, take a cold shower, or fast, you demonstrate to your mind that you can endure more than you believe. You learn to master your impulses instead of being their slave. Today we live in a society that values instant pleasure and immediate gratification. Practicing voluntary discomfort is an act of rebellion against that trend. It prepares you for the inevitable moments of adversity that life will present because you have already experienced and overcome difficulty by your own choice. Contemplate the worst-case scenario. Premeditatio malorum. Most people live with apprehension about the future. They fear failure, loss, criticism, or any unexpected event that could disrupt their stability. And without realizing it, this fear paralyzes them, leads them to avoid risks, and leaves them at the mercy of uncertainty. The Stoics, instead of fearing the unknown, prepared for it. They practiced a powerful technique called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, which involved consciously visualizing the possible obstacles and difficulties that might arise in the day or in life. At first glance, this might seem like pessimism, but in reality it's the opposite. It's a strategy to mentally strengthen oneself and face any adversity with serenity. Seneca explained it this way: "A sensible man prepares for everything. If fortune grants him more than he expected, he will be grateful. If it takes something away, he will not be taken by surprise." Imagining the worst doesn't mean obsessing over tragedy, but training the mind so that when something difficult occurs, you don't crumble, but act with calmness and clarity. Think of a warrior before battle. He doesn't allow himself the luxury of ignoring dangers. Instead, he anticipates them, studies them, and prepares for them. Thus, when the time for combat arrives, his mind has already traveled that path, and nothing takes him by surprise. Life is unpredictable. You can lose your job, face a financial crisis, get sick, or receive bad news at any moment. But if you have already visualized those possibilities and considered how you might face them, the impact will be less and the solution will be clearer. The Stoics did not avoid thinking about adversity. They confronted it beforehand, and by doing so, they transformed fear into preparation, uncertainty into strategy, and anxiety into complete self-mastery. Remember your mortality daily. Memento mori. The fear of death has always troubled humanity. We strive to ignore it. We pretend there will always be a tomorrow and postpone what's important as if time were unlimited. But the Stoics understood an undeniable truth. Life is fleeting, and only those who remember its finitude can live with true intensity. Memento mori, remember that you will die, is not a somber or pessimistic phrase. It is a call to action, an invitation not to waste days on trivial concerns, excuses, and meaningless distractions. Marcus Aurelius clearly stated, "You are about to die, and you have not yet ceased to postpone things, but time moves on and life escapes you." Those who forget their mortality live in the illusion that there will always be more time to pursue their dreams, to ask for forgiveness, to express affection, to correct mistakes. But a day comes when that time no longer exists, and what remains are regrets. In contrast, whoever keeps the reality of death in mind lives with urgency, with gratitude, and with purpose. Every conversation acquires meaning, every day is an opportunity, and every action is imbued with intention. Modern society avoids talking about death, but the Stoics faced it head-on, not with fear but with respect, because knowing that life is finite is not a condemnation, it is a liberation. It is what reminds us that we must love without reservations, act without fear, and leave a mark on the world before departing. There are no guarantees that we will see another sunrise, but what is within our control is how we choose to live today. Will we waste this day on trivialities, or will we seize it as if it were our last? The Stoics teach us that remembering death is not depressing, it is what allows us to truly live. The discipline of perception, how you choose to see things. Most people live as if the world acts upon them. They feel that external events Others' words or difficulties are the direct cause of their suffering or happiness. But the Stoics, with keen insight, understood that this is a dangerous illusion. Epictetus made it clear. It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. This is the essence of the discipline of perception. It means recognizing that between what happens and your reaction, there is a vital space, your interpretation. A traffic jam is not inherently bad, it is a fact. Whether it causes you anger, frustration, or patience depends entirely on how you choose to view it, on the meaning you ascribe to it. We live in a constant bombardment of information and events, and our minds tend to automatically label them as good or bad, fair or unfair. But by doing so unconsciously, we become hostages to those labels. If you decide that criticism is a personal attack instead of potential feedback, it will hurt. If you label a setback as a final failure instead of a lesson, it will paralyze you. The Stoics actively practiced questioning their initial judgments. They asked themselves, is this really as terrible as I think? Am I adding to the suffering with my interpretation? Mastering your perception is the power to choose meaning. It's seeing an obstacle not as a wall, but as an opportunity for virtue, for patience, for ingenuity. It's not letting the first impression dictate your emotional state. This practice begins every morning by consciously deciding how you will perceive the day's challenges, how you will interpret the interactions you have. You cannot control what happens to you, but you are the absolute sovereign of how you choose to see it. And in that choice lies immense freedom and an inexhaustible source of strength. By applying the discipline of perception, you cease to be a passive observer of your emotions and become the director of your inner experience. No matter the chaos outside, you've reached the end. Not by chance, but because something within you yearns for that control, that strength that seems elusive in daily chaos. We have explored 11 time-tested principles together, tools forged by unyielding minds like those of Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus. You can no longer claim ignorance. Now you know that the real battle is waged in your mind every morning. You know you have the power to choose how to perceive the world, to define your own course, to face discomfort, to grow stronger, and to remember your own finitude, to live with urgency and purpose. These lessons are not just beautiful ideas. They are a manual for building a life where you are at the helm, no matter what storm rages outside. But knowing is not enough. True power emerges when you dare to apply these principles. When tomorrow morning, you consciously decide to put one, two, or all of these lessons into practice. When you choose to respond calmly instead of reacting with anger. When you take that moment to write, to be grateful, to visualize challenges, and to decide how you will face them with dignity. It is in this daily action, in this consistent discipline, that transformation becomes unstoppable. This isn't the end of the journey, it's merely the beginning of your mastery. The Stoic mind is forged every day in every decision, especially in those crucial first moments of the morning. Now it's your turn to take the next step. Choose one of these lessons and make it your mission for today. And if this message has resonated with you, if you feel this is the path you wish to follow to build that inner strength, then join this community. Give this video a strong like to show your commitment. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to continue receiving these essential insights, and share this content with someone who also needs to awaken their own power. Your journey toward an unshakable mind and a day under your control begins now. Go